Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It is Wednesday, I think. I'm losing track in this whole lockdown level 3, 2, 1 scenario. Not sure what day it is or whether it's June yet or whatever, but hope you're all keeping well. Now, I'm Silka. I teach step-by-step paint. I teach people step-by-step how to paint online or in my studio. And so if you've always wanted to learn how to paint, but you're not sure what you need or how much it's going to cost, or even where to shop, if you're brand new to painting and you have no idea where to start, then this live is for you. Because my goal is to help you and everyone learn how to paint. All right. Now, one easy way, obviously, is to join me in the studio, and I provide everything for you, including step by step, and you leave with a finished painting, nice and handy. And yay, just today, I'm happy to announce that we're opening the studio again. Yay! Now that we're going into level 1, we can safely and properly give you a good quality studio class again. So that's exciting news. But if you want to learn how to paint at home, then you can do that as well, and that's what I want to help you talk you through how to do that today. So you can join a virtual paint party and do the step-by-step at home. So I'm going to show you today exactly what supplies you will need to get going, and how to start prepping and all of that stuff. And you don't have to spend a fortune. There's a lot of stuff out there. It can be very confusing and overwhelming, but you don't have to spend a lot of money to get started. So that's the key, really. All right. I'm going to tell you a little bit about where to get your supplies as well. And the key really is that you don't have to bust the bank. I know a lot of us are pinching the pennies to try and save a bit more, since some of you hopefully haven't lost your jobs, but I know our studio, we've not had as much income, so we're trying to pinch the pennies and make our dollars stretch further. So I'm going to tell you how to do that and get started without busting the bank, essentially. Excuse me. Now, the reason I'm sharing this is because I got a message on Monday from my dear friend Heather. Hello, Heather. How are you? Now, she was asking how much painting supplies cost. And I was about to message her back, and then I was like, but this, what if this, that, and but what if she gets more of those and bigger ones and smaller ones? And I realized the answer is kind of like how long is a piece of string. You can buy cheap brushes, cheap paint, or you can go all the way up to expensive stuff. You can buy sets. You can spend up to $30 on one brush if you want. You don't need to, though, if you just want to get started, but you can. And even the same for canvas. There's different sizes, different shapes, different colors even, and depending on where you shop will depend on what the price is as well. So you can get some cheaper quality, cheaper price, but not cheaper quality stuff, or you can go right up to professional grade, which is going to cost you a whole lot more. So if you're just starting out, you probably don't need to spend that much. But Heather asking me that just reminded me that I've been asked that a lot over time, especially since lockdown and since we've been doing virtual paint parties and not supplying materials. People have been getting their own materials, so I've had a lot of queries about where to get them and what to get and that kind of thing. So. And even in the studio, when people come to the studio paint parties, a lot of people just love the experience so much they want to do some more of it at home. And so they're asking me, what supplies do I need? How do I get started? So I want to answer both those questions today: how to get started and where to get stuff from. All right. So because I know that it can be really overwhelming. There's a ton of choice out there, a ton of choice and options and all sorts of stuff available. Not to mention the price tags. There's a lot of different price tags as well. Now, when I started this business, I didn't have a big budget, but I didn't want to go too cheap. I wanted, good enough quality or good quality, but at an affordable price. So I did a lot of shopping, I was just overwhelmed by options. I shopped everywhere. I got samples. I tried everything out. And then the lovely Tracy from Draw Art Supplies, thank you so much for helping me. She came to my house and she had this big sort of roll out thing, you know, like chef knives, but she had paintbrushes and stuff, hundreds of them, and we had them all spread out. And she took me through them and she helped me pick the basic ones that I would need to help you guys learn to paint. So yes, I tested everything, expensive ones, cheap ones, different brush types, different canvas types, but brushes for different textures and easy to use and prices and all of that stuff. So canvases I tested for good coverage and bright colors and whether they were primed or not. Paint colors for brightness and how well they went on, all of that stuff. So essentially I've done all of the searching for you. I've done all of the researching for you, and I've done all of the testing for you. And the best thing I discovered was that you don't have to have expensive stuff. That's the great news. You do not have to have expensive stuff to create great art and get painting and just be creative. So let me talk you through that. I'll start with brushes, all right? Now for acrylic painting, you want to get synthetic brushes. The description you'll often see on the brushes is Taklon brushes. Now there are white ones and golden bristle ones. This kind of looks like both because it's got a yellow stain on it, but this is a white Taklon brush. It doesn't matter whether they're white or golden, it really doesn't. And again, you can spend a fortune. If you go to some of the pricier art shops, you can pay like $15 for one brush, but you really don't need to, all right? You can get yourself a set of brushes, sort of anywhere between $10 and $15, depending on where you shop. And individually, some of the smaller brushes, like the really small ones here, I don't know if you can see that, 50 cents. You know, somewhere from 50 cents to $5 for one of these, anywhere sort of in between, depending on what size you're getting, and you know how much you're getting. But they come in a range of sizes, obviously, and you want to get yourself a bit of a selection of sizes. You want to get sort of smaller ones and larger ones and a few round ones, but what I use in the studio, I'm going to talk you through the basics of what I use. I've got hundreds of brushes, hundreds of them, and I mean I'm a bit of an addict as far as brush shopping goes. I can't quite help myself, but you really don't need that many. All right, so for the Taklon brushes, I have a few of the smaller ones. Now there's a size 0, which is a really, really small one. Okay, I'll give you a size comparison. This is my finger. And then there's a size 1. Where's the size 1? There is the size 1. So that's a number 1 Taklon round brush. All right, gosh, that's a big finger in your face. Sorry about that. Now these, you don't need both of them. Just one of them will do. Decide which one you prefer. And these you can use these ones for all the detail work. All right. And then you sort of want a range of sizes of the round brushes in between. I've also got a 2, a 4, and an 8. So this is the 8. It's a little bit bigger. You can see there. And then a couple of the medium sizes in between. Just a range of small, medium, and large, essentially, of your round brushes. And then there's also the square brushes or flat brushes. And these are really good for doing, you know, when you're trying to get into corners and do square edges and stuff. They're really good with, you know, to use the shape of the brush. So I've got a couple of these. I've got a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch. And those are the two main ones that I use for all our paintings here. And these are the Taklon brushes as well. So they're the flat, basically flat brush, Taklon flat, 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch. And then I also have a lot of bristle brushes. Well, not a lot of, some of. And these ones are, basically I use these to get a bit of texture. They give, they're a bit coarser. You can see that they're a lot coarser and a bit rougher, and when you're painting with them, they just block my face out. When you're painting with them, you just really get a nice texture and a lot of extra vibrancy in your painting because of that texture. Now these are the DAS Draw Art Supplies Bristle Bright brushes, and I've tried a lot of these brushes, and these are, I think, the most affordable without really compromising your quality. So they're really quite good. Now these range, depending on where you shop, anywhere between sort of $3-ish up to about $10 if you, or $15 if you're shopping at the the boutique sort of art stores, like your Gordon Harris's and things like that. Yeah, but they're really good for a bit of texture. So I've got a couple of flat ones and one round one as well, which we use for our pukeko and kiwi, and they're good for doing feather textures on birds, those ones. And I also have, actually no, that's not true, I've got one little one as well. This is number 4. So I've got a 4, an 8 and a 10. A 4, an 8 and a 10 are the 3 main sort of bristle brushes that I use, and then I've got the round 6 as well. But all of these brushes come in all the size ranges, like from 1 to 20-ish. And then, of course, you can paint with house brushes as well. I do that. I don't have any handy at the moment, but I do paint with, you go to Bunnings and get some house brushes and you get some nice big thick ones and do some really good texture. But that's a whole other thing. So those are the main brushes I use. And then if you want to have one that just gives you some really nice extra texture, we've got a fan brush, also known as a squirrel brush. This is a number 4. These come in different sizes as well. These are really good for doing like tree details on trees, leaves on trees, or flowers or grass, or even feathers on birds, just for really light, delicate textures. But you don't have to have that one when you're starting out. I just really love this one. It's a fun one. It's one of my favorites, so that's why I'm sharing that with you. So yes, this is the basic collection that I have in the studio, from your small round ones, and then your flat brushes as well, and then some texture brushes as well, some good bristle brushes that you can use for texture. And now you can use the hog bristle brushes as well instead of the bristle bright brushes. They're just much coarser, so you get a lot more texture. So if you want more texture, then grab yourself one of those, and they're a lot cheaper as well. So that's brushes. Paint. Now, again, you can spend not very much, or you can spend heaps. It's entirely up to you what you want to spend, but you don't, if you're just starting out, again, I just want to really reiterate that you don't need to spend a lot of money to get good paint. All right. Now I use the, I'm only covered in paint. I use the Fuss Student Grade acrylic paint. Oops, there you go. Now that's a lot of paint, but then, I use these ones for myself, and I buy them in the 2-litre bottles for the studio. But this is a half-litre. Yeah, this is a half-litre, and you can get these for about $10 to $15 per colour. So if you want a lot of paint, $10 to $15 per colour, all right? There are more expensive grades of these, right up to professional grades. But if you're a beginner, you just don't need them, honestly. It's kind of like, for me, with a bottle of wine, you could give me $100 bottle of wine or a $10 bottle of wine. If it's a good wine, I probably won't even notice the difference. I'm just like, oh, nice glass of wine, thanks. I don't know that you've paid $100 or $10. And the same is true for paint. All right, if you're just starting, and you're not going to be selling heaps of work, or having a massive exhibition selling heaps of work, then these paints, the student grade paints, are absolutely fine for what you're trying to do. All right, but essentially any craft paint will do. Any student level craft paint will do. You can buy them in bottles like this, like I do, or you can buy them in tubes. You can buy individual tubes, or you can buy a set of 6 or 12 tubes of paint, and a set will go anywhere sort of $15, maybe $30 ish, in the cheaper shops. I'll talk you through shortly which shops you can go to, or you can pay a lot more at the the art supply stores and what. But you should be able to get something good around sort of $20, $25. All right, and if you've been keeping an eye on my Facebook page, you will have seen my dolphins painting, which I painted with resin test spots. Yes, little resin test spots. I have painted with these for years, and they just give the most brilliant, bright, beautiful colours. And of course, you know, you don't need to varnish your painting or protect it with anything afterwards. You can paint your house with this, so it's fine. You could leave your painting outside for a year and I'm sure it would probably last as well. But the resin test pots, they're nice and cheap. Depending where you shop, you can get them for about probably, I think they're about $4 or $5 at the moment. But they used to have on the back of the supermarket dockets the buy one get one free. So I collected those, and every time I went past the supermarket, the resin shop was nearby, so I grabbed a couple each time. So I've probably got about 50 different colours now. They've got about several thousand colours, so it's awesome. These are really, really good to paint with. You get beautiful bright colours, and the names are pretty cool as well. If you want to paint our Pohutukawa, which is over there, this paint is actually called Pohutukawa, so you don't even have to think about how to mix the colour. You just go by the Pohutukawa colour. Awesome. But yes, they're they're an awesome starter. If you want to start, they're cheap, they're great colours, and they're really durable as well and easy to paint with. So and different paint types, now that we're talking about house paint as well as acrylic paint. There's, you've got your watercolor, oil paints and whatnot. They're a little bit harder to do, oil paints especially, and they take a long time to dry. So if you're just starting out, you really want to start with something a bit more basic, like your acrylic paints or your test pots. All right, they dry nice and quickly and they blend easily, and you'll just get a better result before, and then maybe try watercolor later or the oil paints later if you want to. As far as what colors to get, you don't need to go out and buy all 1,000, 2,000 resin colours or however many they've got at the beginning. You just start with a small collection, all right? You can always add more later, but you can essentially mix all of the colours from 5 basic colours. Oh, I don't know that I can hold all of these up. So, but from these 3 colours, we've got a yellow, a red and a blue. These are the primary colours, all right? Now you can essentially mix all colours from these 3 colours. Okay, I'm going to do a bit of a colour mixing Facebook Live tutorial soon, but if you want to start getting your paints, these are the 3 basics you need to mix all your colours. And, oops, sorry, that was a bit of a thump, and black and white, all right, to make them go lighter or darker as well. So those are the 5 basics you need, and you can start with those and just add more colours as you go, all right, because I don't know, if you're a creative person, you'll love colour and you'll just want all the colours and they're awesome. But start with the 5 basics. And to help you mix, a colour wheel is the most awesome thing to use. You can see up here you've got the red, the yellow and the blue. And the colour wheel, you just turn it and it will tell you that if I mix this colour, where am I? Sorry, the camera's backwards. If I mix this colour with this colour, I will get that colour. So it's it's like, how do you mix orange? Okay, so if I mix, it'll tell me that if I mix red and yellow together, I will get that orange. So the beauty of this is that you can cheat and look underneath and go, oh, I want that purple. How do I mix that? And just move it until you see the purple, and that's blue and red to mix the purple. So a colour wheel is just a super easy way to learn how to mix your colours. And they're not expensive. I think $15, $20. Or you can buy them online for a bit cheaper as well. But yeah, these are really, really handy to have if you want to get into your colouring. But like I said, I'll do another Facebook Live on colour mixing soon. So that's our brushes and our paint. We got to have something to put them on. So your canvas. Again, how long is a piece of string? There's a lot of different types and sorts. You have the stretched canvases. Where did I put them all? Here we go. So we got the stretch canvases on frames, all right. There's a ton of different sizes available. You've small, medium, large. I mean, I've got some little ones here. Look how cute they are. Look, and then there's also the width of them as well. Some of them are thicker width, some of them are thinner. Sometimes it looks really good when you paint the whole painting and keep going around the edges of them. It looks really cool, especially when it's nice and big. And there's even different colours. You know, you can get some black ones as well. but there's a ton of different shapes available. You can get round ones, cross-shaped ones, heart-shaped ones, anything. So yes, price-wise, it depends what shape, what size, what colour you're going for, and also the depth of the canvas as well, whether you're going for a thinner one or a thicker one. The smaller ones, so like this one, I paid $10 for at the Warehouse Stationery. So, you know, you can get something this size for $10, which is pretty cool. The cheaper ones, you know, and especially if you wait for a sale, even better. Yay. Now I use, hang on, what's this one? This is a thinner one. See, I got this one for $5 from Uncle Bill's. So it's a thinner one. But it was $4, was it $4.26 even? So you wait for the sales, you get them when they're good. And these are still really good quality canvases. So have a shop around. But yeah, you don't have to spend a lot of money. Now what I use the 16 by 20. So if you're doing a paint party with me, either in the studio or online, you'll see me using this. If you come into the studio, you'll get one this big, and you'll get a finished painting on this size to take home with you. So this is the 16 by 20 inch. And these are around about sort of $15 to $25, again, depending on where you shop. But if you look out for sales, get the multi-packs, you can get them reasonably cheap. All right. And again, there's different qualities available. I don't want to bag anyone, but some of the really cheap ones, if you find a canvas for $3 or $4, chances are it's going to be pretty, you know, it's like a bottle of wine. If you go down to $5, you know, it's not really going to be good. As long as you don't go for the professional grade, you're fine. The professional grade is the really expensive stuff, and you just don't need that if you're starting out. So, you know, what you want to look out for is just to check that it's been primed. Like a house, you know, before you put the final coat on, you've got to put a few primer coats on first, base coats, and that basically stops the canvas from soaking in all of your paint. You know, you won't have to use as much paint afterwards. Most of the canvases that I've purchased, even the really cheap ones, are usually at least triple primed. They've had 3 coats of primer, and that's usually enough. So I haven't come across any really that you can buy in a you know, standard shop in New Zealand that aren't primed, so you should be right. But just check on the label. Where's the label? Let me check one. That usually says triple primed, or here we say triple coated with universal primer. So that's kind of what you're looking out for. All of the other stuff doesn't really matter. It's the primer that you want to make sure it's primed, so it doesn't, because if it's not, it's just going to soak up all your paint and you're going to use 5 times as much. If you want to go a slightly cheaper option, there are canvas boards. Now I couldn't find a small one, so I've got quite a large one here to show you. But essentially, this is a canvas board. I'm disappearing behind it, and you can see my light reflecting. But you can see it's a thin board. All right. So this is a dust product as well. These are quite good quality, but you can get lots of different brands as well. And again, you want to check that it's been primed. But this is suitable for oils and watercolors and anything essentially. But yeah, it's just a thin board, and often you can get packs of these. You know, you can get 5 or 10 in one pack, or 3 or whatever, and they're a lot cheaper. So this one, I think, from memory, was $9 or something, and it's a reasonably large one, but it wasn't on special. If you wait till it's on special, you can get them a bit cheaper. And if you're shopping at the likes of Uncle Bill's or Uncle Pete's, or even the $2 shop has some good stuff, you just got to check it's primed and it's good to go. All right. And if you want to not go up to the board or canvas step yet, there are actually canvas art pads. Now these are really good because you can kind of practice on them. You can have a go. You know, if you don't want to waste your large canvases, you can have a go. All right. So it's just a pad. It's just a pad with pages. It's not like normal pad paper. They're quite thick, but it's canvas. It's canvas paper. All right. And this one's quite large, so, you know, it's not a small size either, but these are really good if you just want to practice and, you know, not go full canvas, so to speak. Now this one I think I got for about $35, and there's 12 sheets in it, so you can see it's a lot more economical than buying the canvases or the boards. So yeah, this is a really good starting point if you're just learning to paint the canvas sheets. It's called a canvas artist pad. It's called, and these they're just really good. They're really good for students, amateurs, professionals, anyone. Everybody uses them. They're good. So grab yourself one of those. But if you're really on a tight budget, and I've done this quite a bit myself, mat board. It's just a piece of cardboard. You get it at art supply stores. You can get it at Warehouse Stationery. Spotlight is just a board. You can pick whatever colour you want to paint on. You can get the white ones as well, but you can pick any colour background you want. And it's just a board. And it acts similar to a canvas. The paint won't soak in as much as a canvas will, although canvas doesn't if it's primed properly anyway. But it's just a really nice, cheap, easy way to get yourself a surface to paint on. So get yourself some mat board. So you can start small with a small budget and get going. And that applies to size as well. If you want to start small, work up to a slightly larger canvas. Canvases you can get canvases that are meters wide, but yeah, don't start too big, you'll overwhelm yourself. Like I said, I use the 16 by 20 canvas in the studio, so if you come paint with me, you'll get one of these to paint on and take home your finished artwork. And it's a good size. You don't want to go too small because then your detail work's going to be a lot harder as well. So it's a good size to start. But like I said, look out for sales. Spotlight, Warehouse Stationery, all of those places, they have sales all the time. And look out for multi-packs. I know I've gotten quite a few multi-packs from Spotlight. You can pick up 3 or 4 canvases for $20 or, $15 or boards. They have a lot of the boards, canvas boards in the multi-packs as well. So keep an eye out for those. And one little tip, if you paint something and you don't like it, paint over it. You can reuse your canvases. I just did a lighthouse, the Pink Arrow Lighthouse painting on the weekend, and that canvas is starting to get really heavy because I've painted over it maybe 30 times already. I've just kept reusing the canvas because, you just paint white over it or paint gesso over it and you can reuse it. It's like it was brand new. So if you like op shopping, which I do, you can look out for cheap canvases at the op shop. You can often pick one up for $2 or $3, and then you just take it home, paint white over it, and it's yours to paint from scratch. And you can paint over them many, many times. If you don't like your painting, just paint it all white, start again. It's like tweaking it out. It's very handy, and it's great because you get to op shop as well. So that's your paint, your brushes, and the thing you're painting on. You'll also need something to put the paint on. So I use a tear-off paint palette. Here's one I used for Simply Blessed on Sunday. So this is handy because, you've got you can use it like a proper artist if you want to, but it tears off. The pages tear off, essentially, and I can just tear that off, throw it away. In fact, I will, because I'm done with it. And then you've got a whole new thing. Now these come in sheets, 30 or 40 sheets at a time, depending what brand you get, and they're not that expensive. I buy mine in bulk for the studio, obviously, but I think you can pick them up for like $15 to $20. So, and you've got 40 sheets. So they're a really handy, easy way to paint. But you don't have to have one of those. You can just use an old ice cream lid, the back of an old ice cream lid if you want to, or just any reusable piece of plastic, essentially. Or a piece of wood or a plate with Glad wrap on it. You plate, put some Glad wrap on, put your paint on, and then it's much easier to clean up afterwards as well. So that's handy too. So yeah, you don't have to have the fancy stuff to paint on, the palettes or whatnot. You can use anything at all, really. And one thing I discovered many years ago that has saved me so much paint, because often you put paint out and you're like, oh, that's a bit more than I need, so you don't want to waste it. So I was just stoked when I went to was it Uncle Bill's, I think it was, and I found ice cube trays with lids. These are awesome. Not only can you have these little, you have these little, you can use an ice cube tray without lid, but you have all these beautiful separated little holes to put your colours in. But if you want to, if you know that you're going to be painting over the next few weeks, months even, this lasts ages, you pop it in the fridge. Yeah. If you haven't got a lid, just put it in a Ziploc bag, which is what I used to do with ice cube trays before I found these amazing ones with lids, and I think it was only like $5. But yeah, even just a normal ice cube tray, put your paint colours in, paint away. When you're done, Ziploc bag. I usually try to suck a bit of the air out of it to get as little air as possible in it. Chuck it in the fridge. It'll last ages in the fridge. I mean, this one's been in there. I just found this because I went to look for it. I found this at the back of the fridge. It's probably been there for about 3 months. Do I dare? Yeah, look, still good. Oh, where's my paint rag? Hang on. Here it is. So yeah, it lasts forever. Well, not forever, but ages. But yes, if you can find these ice cube trays with lids, even better. I was just so ecstatic when I found these. I was like a little kid in a candy shop. But do tell your parent, tell your kids not to eat it. It's not food. That would be bad. Unless you've got edible paint, then it's okay. So, yes, hello Edana, hello Joe, hello Heather. Good to have you here watching. And yes, Edana, the ice cube tray thing it's just saved me so much paint over the years, because you don't have to throw it out. It doesn't harden up or dry out, till the next day. Just chuck it in the fridge. It's all good. So I've told you a lot of different things. What you need to do now is get shopping. But again, I just want to remind you, you can spend a lot of money, but you don't have to. You can spend a lot or not. Good places to shop. I'm going to tell you where to go now. Good places to shop. Warehouse Stationery's often got some really good sales on. And they've got a lot of good brush selection, paint selection, canvas selection, sizes as well. They've got a really good selection. You can shop online or in store with them, but if you're not in a hurry, wait till they've got a sale, and you probably end up getting twice as much. They are really good at knocking the price of canvases by at least half when they've got a sale on. You can shop at art supply stores, but just be aware that you will end up paying a lot more. Gordon Harris, for example, often it's the same stuff that you get at the Warehouse Stationery, but you're just paying 3 times as much for it, so you just don't need to, But my biggest advice is to shop at places like Uncle Bill's, Uncle Pete's. I think up north it's called Arthur's Emporium. All these Emporium shops, every town's got one. They, again, have the same stuff, but way cheaper. So just have a look around, have a rummage. Even your $2 shops, for paintbrushes, they have the paintbrush sets, all in the plastic, unfortunately, but you can get a set of 6 or 7 brushes for $2 or $3. So have a look around. Sorry, Monica's just saying, can you please explain more how you reuse canvases? If you're going to paint again, then colour underneath would be visible. Yes. I can actually show you, Monica. I've got one here. Now, if you come to the studio to paint with me, I have a practice canvas that people can paint on. Sometimes they get a bit nervous about doing some of the delicate stuff. So I have practice canvases that people can paint on. And this one has been used at least 4 or 5 times as well. But essentially what you do is you just paint white over the top. You may need a couple of coats depending on what's underneath. If you've got darker colours or more detail, you'll need another couple of coats. You can see, if I hold it up closer, you can see that there's something under there because I've only put 1 coat on. Whoops, there. And there's something under there. I've only put 1 coat on. If I were to put another coat on the top, though, of white, then it's essentially a brand new canvas. The only drawback is that if you've got anything that's got if you put a lot of paint on and there's any sort of 3 dimensions, and if you've got thick paint on, those thicker bits will show through. But if you've got, you know, a nice flat surface, you can just paint over it and you can use it heaps and heaps of times. Where's the Penkaro one? I'll show you that. I don't know where it is. But yeah, you just and you can actually even use house paint. I've used house primer a few times. You know, it's just primer. I had some left over. I did a lot of renovations. I used, I see Joe's asking, do you use a big brush or a roller? I don't use a roller because the canvas will actually dip in when you use a roller, so it's not very effective. But I use my house painting brushes as well. I've got some big thicker ones and some smaller ones. I don't actually have them here with me. They're in the sink. They've just been cleaned. But those you can get from the Uncle Bill's and the cheap shops, the $2 shops as well, and you just need them to put paint on. So you can pick those up for like $1 each or $2 each. Or you can use your leftover house renovation brushes, you know, and just slap it on. If you've got some leftover house primer, use that as well. It works beautifully. All you're doing is creating a white surface essentially. So, but yes, rollers I don't, unless you've got boards. If you're using boards, then you can roll, but on a canvas it's going to dip, so that's not going to be as effective. All good, Monica, glad to help. If you've got any other questions, then please do throw them in there as well. I'm happy to answer those. But yes, like I said, $2 shops, all of those cheap shops, you might think it's cheap quality stuff, but actually I've often found it's the exact same brand, often in the exact same packaging as the stuff that you get at the more expensive shops, and even the likes of warehouse stationery. Spotlight's a good one to get some deals at as well. Excuse me. So yeah, do scour through those shops, and op shops often have brush sets as well. You know, someone's been given a painting set for Christmas and they're like, oh, I don't want to use this. Take it to the op shop. So you can, or more often than not, pick up something art based at the op shop as well. And it's, like I said, a really good place to get cheap canvases and paint over them and reuse them. Excuse me for a second. But an extra special tip I've got for you today. Now for the studio, I obviously buy in bulk, so I go straight to the wholesaler, which you can't buy from, unfortunately, because you have to be a retailer or a shop or a studio like myself to buy from there. But a couple of places that I also buy in bulk from, you can buy from as individuals. Now, I know some of you are in Australia, so I don't know if you can order and have delivered to there. But if you're in New Zealand, then eenymeeny.co.nz. Yes, that's what I said. Eeny meeny, as in eeny meeny miny mo. So it's 2 E's, NYMEENY.co.nz. Now they supply for schools and teaching organisations and things like that, but you can buy individual pieces. You know, you can buy one brush, one canvas, whatever, and they will deliver to you as well. And another one is teaching.co.nz. They also, I mean, they're set up to provide bulk orders for schools and teaching organisations, essentially, such as myself. But you can also buy individual canvases, or, you know, buy 5 at once or whatever. And you can buy individual pots of paint, for example. You can buy one blue, one yellow, one purple, whatever, and have them delivered to you. And they are often, actually, I buy all my paint from Eeny Meeny. Because they're the cheapest that I've found. So I've shopped everywhere, and I'm German, I'm thorough, so I have shopped everywhere. And Eeny Meeny is where I get my paint from. So, I mean, I buy the big bottles, but I'm pretty sure the smaller bottles, these ones are there as well. And you can get those, I think they're like $8 or $9 plus GST for this size. So yeah, eenymeeny.co.nz and teaching.co.nz. And they are often good places to get really cheap supplies. The only time the other places are cheaper is when they've got sales. So if Spotlight or Warehouse Stationery have got sales, then they will be cheaper. And yeah, op shopping, always good. Yeah. So I've told you all about everything that you need and where to get it. So what's next? Just got to get started. The best way to learn to paint is to paint. Easy. And the more you do it, the more you will improve. So make your shopping list, go get your supplies, or if you just can't be bothered with the shopping or finding the supplies, you can join me in the studio and I will provide everything for you. I'll be listing new events. What day is it? It's Wednesday. Probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be putting new events, studio events online. I'm so excited that people can come to the studio and paint with me again now that we're getting into level 1. But yeah, if you can't be bothered trying to figure out what you need or what you got to get, just check the website on the weekend, probably Friday of the weekend, and I'll have studio events back on there and I will provide everything for you. You don't have to do any shopping. You just got to turn up, paint, and have fun and leave with your wonderful masterpiece at the end. But if you want to paint at home, like I said, you're going to make your shopping list, get your supplies, and then get painting. Just get painting. You can join one of my virtual paint parties. I will be loading more of those over the next few days as well. So I can give you step-by-step instructions on what to paint and, you know, different paintings, or just have a go. Just get one of your sheets from your pad and just have a go. Have a practice. Try mixing some colours or doing some flowers or butterflies or anything. Just have a go. The key is to get started. Get your supplies, get started, because the more you do it, the more relaxed you will be about it and the better you'll get at it and you'll have fun. That's the key thing. Have fun. All right. So what I've told you about today, lots and lots of things, but the key message is that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get your supplies. All right. That is the key. And you don't have to get too many supplies either to get started. All right. So brushes, you just get your basic set of brushes, a few more ones, a few medium, a few large, a few round, a few square, and a few texture ones, the bristle ones, all right? And you don't have to spend too much money. You can get your set for $15-ish for enough brushes usually, all right? Especially if you shop around. Paint, go for student-based student level paint. You don't need the professional stuff. You don't need to spend heaps of money on paint either. So just get the student grade stuff. Either buy a set of tubes or, you know, your individual colors, and you just need your basic red, yellow, blue, black and white if you want to keep it simple, and then add extra colors later. And again, you don't have to buy expensive. Or your resin test pots. Yes, or your resin test pots. They're awesome. Canvas, different sizes, different shapes, different colors, but just start with whatever you think you're comfortable with. All right, the smaller ones you can get them from sort of $4 to $5 each. The larger ones, if you're a good bargain hunter, you'll get them from $10 to $15 each, and that's enough to get started on. Or you can use your canvas boards, or the canvas pad with the different sheets of the canvas sheets in there. Or just a mat board, any kind of mat board you can paint on that. And a palette or something plastic to put your paint on, or an ice cube tray to put your paint in, because that's super handy as well. And if you want to, a colour wheel. Grab yourself a colour wheel. They're super handy to have. Cool. What else did I tell you? I think I've pretty much covered it, haven't I? Oh, where to get your supplies. Yeah. The cheap shops. It sounds bad, but that is the best place to get them for the quality that you need and the price that makes it affordable, all right? And keep an eye out for sales and scour the op shops as well for stuff, all right? So I've given you essentially everything you need to get started, to get painting. You've got your shopping list. So yeah, make your shopping list, get your supplies, book yourself into the studio to come and paint with me, or book a class online, a virtual paint party class online, and just get painting. Just get started, have fun, and that's it. Yeah, have fun. So I hope that's been helpful, and I hope it helps someone get painting, because that's my goal. All I want to do is share my joy for painting with you, and if this has helped get you started, then I'm happy. So have fun shopping, have fun painting, and if there's anyone else you know who you think wants to get painting or needs this information, then please do share this live with them as well. All right. So thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoy your painting experience once you get started. Paint with you soon. Bye.